Captain Daeho Kim sat in his command chair watching the endless black of space through the main window. The Soul's Pride was a small ship, barely big enough for 20 people. It was not the biggest or fastest ship in the human fleet, but it was his ship. He had been its captain for 3 years now. "Captain, we are picking up something strange," said Communications Officer Woo-Bin Lee from his station. His young face looked worried as he stared at his screen. The blue lights from his controls made his skin look pale. Daeho turned his chair around. "What kind of strange, Woo-Bin?" "It looks like a distress signal, sir, but the language is not human. The computer cannot translate it yet." Woo-Bin pressed some buttons, and the signal played through the ship's speakers. It sounded like clicking and buzzing noises mixed together. Chief Engineer Hannah Park looked up from her station near the back of the bridge. She was older than both men, with gray streaks in her black hair. "Captain, we should be careful. We do not know what is out there. This sector of space is dangerous." Daeho knew she was right. They were in the void sector, a place where most ships did not go. The radiation storms here could kill a person in minutes without proper protection. Pirates sometimes hid in this area because the authorities rarely came here. "Where is the signal coming from?" Daeho asked. Woo-Bin checked his instruments. "About 2 hours away at our current speed. The signal is getting weaker, though. Whatever is sending, it might not have much power left." Hannah stood up and walked over to the captain's chair. "Sir, I really think we should report this to command and let them handle it. Our ship is not equipped for rescue missions. We only have basic medical supplies and limited space." Daeho looked at both of his crew members. He had served with them for a long time. They were good people, and he trusted their judgment. But something about the desperate tone of the signal bothered him. "Play it again, Woo-Bin." The strange clicking and buzzing filled the bridge once more. Even though they could not understand the words, the fear in the voice was clear. Someone was in serious trouble. "Set course for the signal," Daeho said finally. "Captain, are you sure about this?" Hannah asked. "We have our own mission to complete. Command expects us to finish mapping this sector. The mapping can wait. Someone needs help." Daeho turned back to face the main window. "Maximum speed, Woo-Bin." Soul's Pride changed direction and accelerated toward the source of the distress signal. As they flew through space, Daeho thought about his decision. Hannah was right to be cautious. They were just an exploration ship with a crew of 3. They were not a rescue vessel. But Daeho had joined the space service to explore and help people. His father had taught him that helping others was always the right thing to do, even when it was difficult. 2 hours later, they found the source of the signal. "Captain, look at that," Woo-Bin said with wonder in his voice. In front of them was a ship unlike anything they had ever seen. It was huge, maybe 10 times bigger than the Soul's Pride. The hull was a strange green color that seemed to shimmer in the starlight, but the ship was clearly in trouble. Parts of it were damaged and dark. No lights showed in most of the windows. "I am getting life signs," Hannah reported from her station. "Lots of them, maybe 300 or more." 300. Daeho was surprised. The Soul's Pride could only hold 20 people comfortably. "The ship appears to be some kind of transport vessel," Woo-Bin added. "And Captain, I am picking up dangerous radiation levels near their engine section. Whatever happened to them, it is getting worse." Daeho studied the alien ship carefully, could see small figures moving behind some of the lit windows. Looked different from humans, but they were clearly alive and afraid. "Open a communication channel," he ordered. "Channel open, sir. Unknown vessel. This is Captain Daeho Kim of the human ship Soul's Pride. We received your distress signal. You need assistance?" For a moment, there was only silence.
Then a
new voice came through the speakers. This one spoke in broken but understandable human language. "Human ship Soul's Pride. This is Keeper Thess of the Valiant transport vessel Morning Star. We are in desperate need of help. Our engines have failed, and our life support systems are failing. We have many civilians aboard, including young ones." Daeho felt his heart sink. This was much worse than he had expected. "What happened to your ship, Keeper Thess?" "We were fleeing our homeworld. There is war there now. Our people are scattered across the galaxy. This ship carries refugees seeking safety, but we encountered a radiation storm 2 days ago. Our shields failed, and our main engines were damaged. We are stuck here, and our air is running out. Hannah and Wubin looked at their captain with worried expressions. They all knew what this meant. These aliens were refugees running from war, and they were going to die if someone did not help them. How long do you have? Deho asked. Perhaps 6 hours before our life support fails completely. Bless. We tried to repair the engines, but the damage is too severe. We need replacement parts that we do not have. Deho looked at his crew. Hannah was shaking her head slowly. She was right to be worried. The Soul's Pride was not equipped to handle 300 refugees. They barely had enough supplies for themselves. Wubin scanned their ship. What exactly do they need? Wubin worked at his controls for several minutes. Captain, their main power core is completely dead. Without it, they cannot run life support or engines. They also have hull breaches in 3 sections. Can we repair it? Not with what we have on board. We would need a replacement power core, and ours is built for human technology. It probably would not work with their systems. Deho thought for a moment. There had to be something they could do. He could not just leave 300 people to die in space. Keeperthess. We are a small ship, but we want to help. Give us some time to figure out what we can do. Thank you, Captain Kim. Your kindness gives us hope. Deho closed the communication channel and looked at his crew. Ideas. Could take some of them aboard, Wubin suggested. Be 50 people if we crowd together. That still leaves 250 to die, Hannah pointed out. And we do not even know if they can breathe our air. Deho stared at the alien ship through the main window. Somewhere inside were 300 scared people waiting to die. Among them were children who had never done anything wrong, except be born during a war. He made his decision. Hannah, I need you to look at something for me. Hannah, I need you to look at something for me, Captain Deho said. Is there any way we can give them our emergency power core? Chief Engineer Hannah Park stared at him like he had lost his mind. Captain, that would be suicide. Without our power core, we would have no shields, no engines, and no life support backup. If anything went wrong, we would be dead in space. But could it work? Could our power core give their ship enough energy to escape? Hannah was quiet for a long moment. She walked over to her engineering station and started running calculations on her computer. The numbers filled her screen as she worked. Maybe, she said finally. Human power cores are built differently than most alien technology, but they produce a lot of energy. If I could modify the connections, it might give them enough power to restart their engines and life support. Communications Officer Wubin looked worried. Captain, even if we could do this, it would leave us completely helpless. We would have no way to defend ourselves or escape if something went wrong. Deho walked to the main window and looked. At the damaged alien ship, he could see small figures moving behind the windows. They looked like they were working frantically to keep their ship running. How long would it take to transfer the power core? He asked. At least 2 hours, Hannah replied. Maybe 3? I would have to modify our systems and theirs to make them work together. And that is assuming everything goes perfectly. We do not have 3 hours, Wubin said, checking his instruments. Captain, I am detecting something very bad heading our way. What is it? A massive radiation storm, much bigger than the one that damaged their ship. It will be here in about 4 hours. Deho felt his stomach drop. Radiation storms in the void sector were deadly. Even with full shields and power, they were dangerous. Without their power core, the Soul's Pride would be destroyed. How big is this storm? Hannah asked. Udashbin checked his readings again. Huge. It covers almost the entire sector. If we are caught in it without shields, we will be dead in minutes. And the alien ship, they definitely cannot survive it. Our shields are already failing. Deho stood silent for a moment, thinking. The choice was becoming clearer, but it was not an easy one. They could save themselves by leaving right now. Their small ship could escape the storm if they left immediately. But that would mean abandoning 300 innocent people to die. Captain, Hannah said softly, we need to make a decision. If we are going to transfer our power core, we need to start now. And if we do transfer it, we will be stuck here when the storm hits, Wubin added. There will be no escape for us. Looked at both of his crew members. These were good people who trusted him to make the right decisions. He was about to ask them to give up their lives for strangers. "Open a channel to the alien ship," he said. "Channel open, sir. Keeper Thess. This is Captain Kim. We have an idea that might save your people, but I need to be honest with you about something. There is a massive radiation storm coming. It will be here in about 4 hours." "We know about the storm, Captain Kim. Our instruments detected it a few minutes ago. We were trying to decide whether to tell you. You should leave now while you still can." Daeho was surprised. Aliens were warning him to save himself, even though they were the ones in danger. "Keeper Thess, we might be able to give you our emergency power core. It could give your ship enough energy to escape the storm. That is very generous, but what would happen to your ship? You would be stranded here." There was a long silence on the communication channel. Finally, Keeper Thess spoke again, and his voice sounded very sad. "Captain Kim, I cannot ask you to sacrifice your lives for ours. You should save yourselves. You have done more than enough just by trying to help us. The decision is not yours to make," Daeho said firmly. "Hannah, start preparing to transfer the power core." "Captain, are you sure about this?" Hannah asked one more time. "I am sure. 300 lives are worth more than 3. Hannah nodded and began working at her station. "I will need to go over to their ship to make the connections. It cannot be done remotely." "Is that safe?" Wubin asked. "Their ship has the same type of atmosphere as ours. I checked the readings. I can work in their engineering section with just a basic environment suit. How long will you need?" 2 hours if everything goes well. Maybe longer if I run into problems." Daeho made the announcement to the alien ship. "Keeper Thess, we are going to transfer our power core to your ship. Our engineer will come aboard to make the necessary connections. Captain Kim, I must protest this plan. You are sacrificing yourselves for us. This is not right. It is the right thing to do. Your people are refugees fleeing from war. They deserve a chance to live, but your people will die." "Maybe, but your people will definitely die if we do nothing. The choice is easy." Daeho could hear other voices in the background on the alien ship. It sounded like they were arguing about whether to accept the human offer. Finally, Keeper Thess spoke again. "Captain Kim, if you are truly willing to do this, then we accept your sacrifice. But I want you to know that the Valiant people will never forget this kindness. If any of you survive, you will always be welcome among our people. Thank you, Keeper. Thess Hannah is preparing to come over now." Daeho closed the communication channel and turned to his crew. Both Hannah and Wubin were looking at him with expressions he could not quite read. "Are you both okay with this?" he asked. Captain Wubin said, "I joined the space service to explore the galaxy and meet new people. I never expected to die. For them, but I think my parents would be proud. My daughter always said I work too much and never take risks," Hannah added with a small smile. I guess she was wrong about the risks part. Daeho felt proud of his crew. They were scared, but they were willing to do what was right. "All right then. Hannah, gather your tools and get into an environment suit. Wubin, help her carry the power core components. I will monitor the radiation storm and keep in contact with both ships." As his crew prepared for the dangerous work ahead, Daeho looked out at the alien ship one more time. Soon, those 300 people would be safe. The knowledge that they had saved so many lives would have to be enough, even if it cost them everything. The Soul's Pride began the process that would save 300 alien refugees and probably doom its own crew. But none of them regretted the decision. Chief Engineer Hannah Park floated back through the airlock connecting the two ships. Her environment suit was covered in strange alien fluid and burn marks from the difficult work. She was exhausted but smiling. "It is done," she announced to Captain Daeho and Wubin. "Their power core is online, and their engines are starting up. They should have enough energy to escape the radiation storm." Captain Daeho felt relief wash over him. How long did they have? About 30 minutes before the storm hits. That should be more than enough time for them to reach safe distance. Through the main window, they could see the alien ship starting to glow with new energy. Lights were coming on throughout the vessel, and the damaged sections were being sealed. The Valiant were preparing to leave. "Soul's Pride, this is Keeper Thess," came the voice over the communication system. "Your engineer has saved us all. You will never forget what you have done. Just get your people to safety, Daho replied. That is all the thanks we need.
Captain.
Kim, we are leaving now. I wish there was something we could do for you. There is nothing anyone can do before it is too late. The alien ship began to move away from them. Its engines were working perfectly now, powered by the soul's prides. Sacrifice. Within minutes, the huge vessel disappeared into the distance. Carrying 300 refugees to safety, Daho turned to his crew. Without their power core, the soul's pride was now just a metal shell floating in space. The lights on the bridge were running on emergency battery power that would last maybe 6 hours. After that, they would have no heat, no air circulation, and no communication. Well, said Wubin with a nervous laugh, I guess we should start rationing our air. Hana was already checking the ship's systems. We have enough oxygen for about 3 days if we stay calm and do not move around too much. The heating will fail first, though. It is going to get very cold. What about the distress beacon? Daho asked. I can build something basic from spare parts, Hannah said. In this sector, the chances of anyone detecting it are very small. Daho nodded. He had known this would probably be a one-way trip when he made the decision. Still, there was always hope. Do what you can with the beacon. Even a small chance is better than no chance. Over the next hour, they watched through the windows as the massive radiation storm approached. It looked like a wall of angry red and orange energy stretching across space. Lightning flashed inside it, and the radiation readings on their instruments went completely off the scale.
The Valiant ship made it,
Wubin reported, checking his weakening sensors. They are well clear of the storm area. Good, Daho said simply. The storm hit the soul's pride like a giant fist. Even though they were inside the ship, they could feel it shaking and groaning under the assault. The emergency power flickered several times, but held. Outside space itself seemed to be on fire. How long will the storm last?
Aho
asked. About 8 hours, Hannah replied. But we should be safe inside the ship. The hull will protect us from the worst of it. They settled in to wait. There was not much else they could do. As the hours passed, the 3 crew members talked about many things. They shared stories about their families, their childhood memories, and their dreams for the future. It felt strange to talk about the future when they probably did not have one, but it helped keep their spirits up. My daughter is studying to be a doctor, Hannah said. She always wanted to help people. I think she would understand why we did this. My parents own a small farm, Wubin added. They taught me that helping your neighbors is the most important thing you can do. I guess we just helped some very distant neighbors. Daho thought about his own family. His father had been a teacher, who always said that kindness was the most powerful force in the universe. I hope the Valiant refugees find a good home somewhere. They seemed like peaceful people. You think we will ever see them again? Wubin asked. Probably not, Daho admitted. But that is okay. We did not help them because we expected something in return. We helped them because it was right. The storm finally ended after 8 long hours. Space became calm and dark again, filled only with stars. But the soul's pride was still powerless and drifting. Hannah had managed to build a simple distress beacon from spare parts. It was not very strong, but it was sending out a signal every few minutes. If anyone is listening, they might hear us, she said. But this is a very empty part of space. How much air do we have left? Daho asked. About 2 days, maybe a little more if we are very careful. They tried to stay positive, but everyone knew the situation was hopeless. Rescue ships rarely came to the void sector, and their beacon was too weak to reach very far. Captain Wubin said on the 2nd day, I want you to know that I am proud to serve with you. What we did was right. I agree, Hannah added. 300 people are alive because of our choice. It has to count for something. Daho looked at his crew with deep respect. Even facing death, they had no regrets about saving the alien refugees. I could not ask for a better crew, he told them. On the 3rd day, their air was running dangerously low. The ship was so cold they could see their breath. The emergency batteries were almost dead, and soon they would lose even the weak distress. Beacon. I keep thinking about those children on the Valiant ship, Wubin said quietly. They're probably playing and laughing somewhere safe right now. That makes this worth it, Deho agreed. Somewhere in the galaxy, those 300 refugees were starting new lives. Some of them were children who would grow up and have families of their own. The humans had given them that chance. If we do not make it, Deho said, I want you both to know that serving with you has been an honor. The honor was ours, Captain, Hannah replied. They sat together in the cold, dark bridge, watching the stars and waiting. None of them expected rescue anymore, but they were at peace with their choice. They had saved 300 innocent lives, and that was enough. In the distance, space looked empty and silent. But sometimes, if you listen carefully enough, even the emptiest places can surprise you. Captain Deho Kim was dreaming about his childhood home when the loud beeping sound woke him up. For a moment, he forgot where he was. Then the cold air hit his face, and he remembered. He was dying slowly in a powerless ship in the middle of nowhere. Captain, wake up! Wubin Li was shaking his shoulder gently. Something is happening. Deho opened his eyes and saw Wubin pointing at one of the few instruments that still worked. A small green light was flashing. What is it? Deho asked. His voice was weak from the thin air. Another ship, a big one, and it is coming toward us. Hannah Park was already awake and working at her station. The signal is getting stronger. It is definitely a ship, and it is scanning us.
Ow.
Deho could hardly believe it. They had been drifting for almost 3 days. Their air was so thin that breathing was difficult. The ship was freezing cold and dark except for a few emergency lights. He had given up hope of rescue hours ago. Are you sure? He asked. Very sure, Wubin replied. And Captain, it is a human ship. A few minutes later, a voice came through their weak communication system. Unknown vessel, this is Captain Jinwoo Nam of the merchant ship Golden Dragon. We detected your distress signal. Do you need assistance? Deho tried to answer, but his voice was too weak. Hannah took over the communication. Golden Dragon, this is Chief Engineer Hannah Park of the exploration vessel Soul's Pride. We have lost all main power, and our life support is failing. We have 3 crew members aboard. Soul's Pride, we are coming alongside now. Prepare for emergency rescue. Through their window, they could see lights approaching. The Golden Dragon was a large cargo ship, much bigger than their little exploration vessel. It moved carefully closer until the 2 ships were almost touching. Soul's Pride, we are extending our docking tube. Can you reach your airlock? We will try, Hannah replied. The 3 crew members helped each other walk to the airlock. They were weak from the thin air and cold, but they were alive. The docking tube connected with a solid thump, and warm air began flowing into their ship, Captain. Jinwoo Nam was waiting for them on the other side. He was a middle-aged man with kind eyes and a worried expression. You 3 look terrible. How long have you been without power? 3 days, Deho answered, as they helped him into the warm corridor of the Golden Dragon. 3 days in the void sector without power? You are lucky to be alive. What happened to your ship? As they were taken to the medical bay, Deho explained. About the alien refugees and how they had given away their power core? Captain Nam listened to the story with growing amazement. You gave away your power core to save alien refugees? All of it? They had 300 people on board, including children. We could not let them die. Captain Nam shook his head in disbelief. That was either very brave or very stupid. Maybe both. The doctor on the Golden Dragon was a woman named Sujin Park. She checked all 3 rescued crew members and declared them healthy but exhausted. You need rest, warm food, and clean air. A few days of recovery, and you will be fine. Over the next few hours, as they recovered in the warm, comfortable guest quarters, Captain Name came to talk with them several more times. He seemed fascinated by their story. I have been flying cargo ships for 15 years, he told them. I have seen a lot of things in space, but I have never heard of anyone giving up their own ship to save strangers. It seemed like the right thing to do, Deho said simply. Most species in the galaxy would have demanded payment first, or at least some kind of agreement. You just gave them everything and asked for nothing. What else could we do? Let them die? Captain Nam was quiet for a moment. You know, the story you told me is going to spread. Space is a small community. People talk. Everyone will hear about what you did. A week later, the Golden Dragon brought them back to the nearest human space station. Word of their rescue had already reached Human Command, and they were met by Admiral Young Ho Choi himself. Captain Kim, the Admiral said as they walked through the station, your actions have caused quite a discussion in command. Some people think you were a hero. Others think you were reckless and put human lives at risk for unknown aliens. I understand their concerns, sir, Daeho replied. But I would make the same choice again. I believe you would. The question is whether the space service can afford to have captains who sacrifice their ships and crews for strangers. Daeho felt his heart sink. He had expected this conversation, but it still hurt. Are you relieving me of command, sir? Actually. No. After much discussion, Command has decided that your actions represent the best of human values. You will be transferred to the academy as an instructor. We want you to teach new officers about leadership and moral courage. And my crew? Chief Engineer Park has been promoted to Senior Engineer on the new Deep Space Research Project. Communications. Officer Lee has been accepted into the Diplomatic Corps. Seems your example inspired them both to continue serving. 6 months later, Daeho stood in front of a classroom full of young Space Service cadets. He was telling them about the importance of moral courage when one of them raised her hand. Sir, do you ever regret saving those aliens? Daeho thought about the question. He thought about the 3 cold, dark days drifting in space. He thought about how close they had come to dying. Then he thought about 300 refugees who were now safe somewhere in the galaxy. No, he said firmly, I do not regret it. Helping others is why we explore space. How we lose that, we lose everything that makes us human. The cadet nodded and wrote something in her notebook. After class, Daeho walked to his small office and looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Valiant refugees were building new lives. He wondered if they ever thought about the 3 humans who had saved them. He hoped they were happy. That was enough for him. What Daeho did not know was that the Valiant had not forgotten. Far away in another part of the galaxy, Keeper Thess was telling the story of human kindness to anyone who would listen. And he was making plans to repay a debt that could never truly be repaid. The galaxy was about to learn something important about humans and the power of remembered gratitude. 25 years had passed since the rescue in the Void Sector. Captain Daeho Kim was now an old man with gray hair, teaching his final class at the Space Academy before retirement. He had spent decades sharing the story of that day with thousands of young officers, always ending with the same lesson about doing what is right. But today, his peaceful retirement was about to be interrupted by the worst crisis humanity had ever faced. Admiral Wu. Choi stood in the command center of Earth Defense Station, watching the holographic display with growing fear. Red dots filled the screen, each one representing an enemy ship. There were thousands of them, all heading toward human space. How many ships are we looking at? She asked her aide. Our best estimate is 8,000 combat vessels, Admiral. Maybe more. The Corvani Empire is bringing everything they have. Admiral Choi had been fighting the Corvani for 3 years now. It started small, with attacks on outer colonies. But the alien empire was like a disease, spreading from world to world, conquering everything in its path. The Corvani were different from other species humanity had encountered. They were not interested in trade or communication. They only wanted conquest. Their gray ships appeared without warning, destroyed all resistance, and enslaved any survivors. What about our fleet? Admiral Choi asked. We have maybe 200 ships that can fight. The Corvani destroyed most of our forces at the Battle of New Seoul last month. Admiral Choi closed her eyes for a moment. When 200 ships against 8,000, it was hopeless, but they had to try. Earth itself was at stake now. Send messages to all allied species. Ask for help. We already tried, Admiral. The Altarians said they cannot spare any ships. The Centauri Federation is afraid that Corvani will attack them next if they help us. The trade union refuses to get involved in what they call a human problem. So we are alone. Yes, Admiral, we are alone. The Corvani had been smart about their conquest. They attacked each species separately, never giving anyone a chance to form alliances. When the Rigel colonies were destroyed, everyone else stayed neutral. When the Betelgeuse system fell, the other species said it was not their problem. Now it was humanity's turn. Nobody wanted to help. Admiral Choi had grown up hearing stories about the early days of space exploration, when humans first met alien species and tried to build friendships. Those days seemed like a dream now. The galaxy was a cold, cruel place where everyone looked out for themselves. Admiral, we are getting reports from the outer system. The Corvani fleet will reach Earth in 6 days. 6 days. Admiral Choi thought about the 4 billion people living on Earth. Most of them were civilians who had never seen war. The Corvani would show them no mercy. Prepare all defense platforms. Evacuate as many civilians as possible to the underground shelters. And send word to all human colonies that if Earth falls, they should run as far as they can and hide. Over the next few days, Admiral Choi watched the Corvani fleet approach like a dark storm. Each ship was twice the size of a human vessel and carried weapons that could destroy entire cities. The Corvani commander, a cruel being called War Leader Vex, had sent only one message: surrender now and your death will be quick. Humanity's response had been simple: no. On the 5th day, Admiral Choi made a final speech to the human fleet. 200 brave ships waited in formation around Earth, ready to face impossible odds. Today we fight for our home, she told them over the communication channel. We fight for our children and our future. We may not win, but we will make the Corvani remember that humans do not surrender. Captain Minho Kim, the son of the old Academy instructor Daeho, commanded one of the defense ships. He had grown up hearing his father's stories about helping others and doing what was right. Now he was about to die defending Earth, and he was proud to follow his father's example. All ships prepare for battle, Admiral Choi ordered as the Corvani fleet entered the solar system. The enemy ships looked like a dark cloud covering the stars. Their weapons were already charging, ready to destroy the small human fleet and then rain death on Earth below. Admiral, her communications officer said suddenly, I am getting some strange readings on long-range sensors. What kind of readings? Ships coming out of hyperspace. Lots of them. But they are not Corvani. Admiral Choi looked at her displays in confusion. More enemy ships would just make things worse. Where are they coming from? All over, Admiral. Different directions, different ship designs. Count at least 50 different types of vessels. Are they hostile? I do not think so. Admiral, one of them is trying to communicate with us. Let's put them through. A new voice filled the command center. It was speaking human language, but with a strange accent that clicked and buzzed. Human fleet, this is Keeperthess of the Vallani. Alliance? We have come to repay an old debt. Admiral Choi stared at her communications officer in shock. Did he say Vallani? Yes, Admiral. And there are more ships coming out of hyperspace every minute. Through the main window of the command center, Admiral Choi could see new ships appearing everywhere. They were different sizes and shapes, clearly from many different species. But they were all moving to form a line between Earth and the Corvani. Fleet Keeper Thess, this is Admiral Sujin Choi of the Earth Defense Force. Who are you people and why are you here? Admiral Choi, 25 years ago. 3 humans named Daeho Kim, Hannah Park, Woobin Lee, saved 300 of my people. They gave up their own lives to save strangers. Today, we return that kindness. Admiral Choi felt her heart racing. She had heard the story of the soul's pride many times, but she never expected it to matter in a battle for Earth's survival. How many ships do you have? 10,000, Admiral? And more are coming. The impossible was happening. An alien fleet, larger than the Corvani force, was taking position to defend Earth, and they were here because of one act of kindness from 25 years ago. Admiral Sujin Choi stared at the tactical display in amazement. Ships were still appearing out of hyperspace, forming a massive wall between Earth and the Corvani fleet. She had never seen so many different types of vessels in one place. Admiral, I am counting over 12,000 ships now. her tactical officer reported, and they keep coming. Keeper Thess, Admiral Choi said into her communicator, I do not understand. How did you gather so many ships? These are not all Valiant vessels. You are correct, Admiral. We have spent 25 years telling the story of human kindness to every species we met. The story of 3 humans who gave their lives to save strangers spread across the galaxy. Many species wanted to help repay this debt. Admiral Choi looked at the ships on her screen. She could see vessels from dozens of different worlds, all here because of something that happened 25 years ago. But Admiral, Keeper Thess continued, there is someone who wishes to speak with you. He's very old now, but he insisted on coming. Who is it? I believe humans call him Captain Daeho Kim. Admiral Choi felt her breath catch in her throat. The legendary captain was still alive. He was here for the battle that would decide humanity's fate. A new voice came through the communicator. Old and weak, but still strong with conviction. Admiral Choi, this is Daeho Kim. I am aboard the Valiant flagship. I wanted to see this day for myself. Captain Kim, it is an honor to speak with you, sir. But you should not have risked coming here, Admiral. I am 90 years old. If I am going to die, I want it to be helping people, just like my crew and I tried to do all those years ago. Before Admiral Choi could respond, a harsh voice broke into their communication channel. It was War Leader Vex of the Corvani Empire. Hey. Is this pathetic gathering? Do you think these weak species can stand against the might of the Corvani Empire? We have conquered 100 worlds. You will all burn like the rest. Keeper Thess answered calmly. War Leader Vex, you have made one mistake. You thought you were fighting humans alone, but you were fighting something much more dangerous. Are fighting an idea. What idea could possibly threaten the Corvani Empire? The idea that helping others is more important than helping yourself. The idea that kindness is stronger than cruelty. These ships are here because humans showed us what it means to be truly civilized. War Leader Vex laughed, a sound like metal scraping against metal. Kindness? Civilization? These are weaknesses. Strong survive by taking what they want. The Corvani Empire will crush your alliance like we have crushed everyone else. Then come and try, Admiral Choi said firmly. The battle began with the Corvani fleet charging forward, confident in their superior numbers and weapons. Their gray ships had destroyed dozens of worlds and enslaved millions of people. They had never lost a major battle, but this time was different. The Alliance fleet did not fight like separate species protecting their own interests. They fought like one united force with a single purpose. Valiant ships used their shields to protect smaller vessels. The Altarians, who had refused to help earlier, arrived at the last moment with reinforcements. Even species that had never worked together before coordinated their attacks perfectly. Admiral Captain Minho Kim reported from his ship, the enemy is having trouble targeting us. They are not used to fighting against so many different ship types working together, Admiral. Choi watched the battle unfold on her screens. The Corvani were powerful, but they had always fought against isolated enemies. They did not know how to handle a truly united force. War Leader Vex's voice came through the communication channel again. But this time he sounded worried. This is impossible. Our weapons should be cutting through your ships like they are made of paper. Your weapons are designed to fight one species at a time, Keeper Thess explained. But we have learned to combine our strengths. Valiant shields protect ships with human weapons. Tori speed carries Rigel firepower. Together we are stronger than any of us could be alone. The battle raged for hours. The Corvani fought with desperate fury, but they were losing. Ships that had conquered worlds were being destroyed by species they had never even heard of. Their empire, built on fear and isolation, was crumbling against an alliance built on gratitude and cooperation. War Leader Vex, Admiral Choi said as the last Corvani ships began to retreat, the galaxy is no longer afraid of you. Word of this battle will spread to every world you have conquered. Your empire is finished. This is not over, War Leader. Vex snarled as his damaged flagship limped away. Yes, it is, Captain Daeho, Kim said quietly. Empires built on cruelty always fall eventually. Today, kindness won. After the battle, Admiral Choi met with Keeper Thess and Captain Deho aboard the Valiant flagship. The old captain looked frail, but his eyes were bright with satisfaction. "Captain Kim, I have to ask," Admiral Choi said, "did you ever imagine that saving those refugees would lead to this?" Deho smiled. "No, Admiral. Hannah Wubin and I just did what felt right at the time. We never expected anything in return." "That is exactly why it mattered so much," Keeper Thess said. "In a galaxy where most species only help others when they get something back, your people helped us and asked for nothing." That shocked everyone who heard the story. "What happens now?" Admiral Choi asked. "Now we build something new, Keeper." Thess replied. "The species in this alliance want to form a permanent cooperation. We will call it the Galactic Cooperative, and we want humanity to help lead it." Admiral Choi looked at Captain Deho. "What do you think, sir?" The old captain gazed out at the stars through the flagship's main window. "I think Hannah and Wubin would be proud. We saved 300 people, and today 300 species work together to save us all." "There is one more thing," Keeper Thess said. "We want to build a monument to commemorate what happened here. We'll tell the story of how 3 humans changed the galaxy by choosing kindness over safety." "What will it say?" Deho asked. "It will say that on one day, when faced with a choice between saving themselves or saving strangers, 3 humans chose strangers. And because of that choice, the galaxy learned that cooperation is stronger than conquest, and kindness is more powerful than fear." Captain Deho Kim smiled. He had lived to see his simple act of helping others become the foundation of galactic peace. It was more than he had ever dared to hope for. The galaxy would never forget the lesson that humans had taught them. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness can change everything.